The night the animals disappeared was the night the world fell silent. It started quietly, almost too quietly to notice. In the dense forests where birds once filled the air with songs, no chirping came. The oceans, usually alive with the calls of whales and the splashes of dolphins, became eerily still. On the open plains and in the jungles, not a single creature moved. The insects that usually hummed like a soft breeze simply vanished. It was as if Earth itself had taken a deep breath and then stopped breathing. At first, people thought it was some strange natural event. Scientists suggested that perhaps a disease had spread too quickly, or that climate change had suddenly killed off entire populations. But no matter how many theories were offered, none could explain what was happening. Day after day, the silence grew heavier, more complete. No animals appeared anywhere, no squirrels, no rabbits, no predators, no prey. The planet felt like a ghost town. As the days passed, fear started to spread among people. The disappearance wasn't just a local problem, it was global. Animals across every continent and every ocean had simply vanished. The world felt empty, colder, lonelier. Without animals, the balance of life on Earth was broken. Plants began to wilt without insects to pollinate them, and the food chains that had existed for millions of years were now shattered. Then, strange signals started showing up on Earth's space monitors. Far beyond Mars, in the quiet darkness of the solar system, massive ships appeared. They were unlike anything humanity had ever seen before, huge, sleek, and glowing faintly with colors that no one could explain. They moved in perfect silence, slipping past the usual space traffic, like shadows. The ships were enormous, bigger than cities, and their shape was alien, something no human eye had ever imagined. Governments scrambled to understand these ships. Military forces prepared for the worst. The United Earth Command sent messages, broadcasts, and warnings into space, hoping to make contact or defend themselves. But the ships never answered, not with words but with actions. The next day, Earth received a message unlike anything before. It appeared on every screen, from phones to televisions to space station monitors. The message was short and cold. It said, "The specimens of your world are now property of the Thalcor Unity. You may keep your cities. Your dominant species holds no scientific value, no threats, no demands, just a simple statement that humans were not important." The message made it clear. The aliens had taken the animals from Earth for their own purposes. The animals were now part of some great alien collection, and humans were left behind to watch their world become empty. People were stunned. Many could not believe what was happening. Some refused to accept the loss. Others were filled with anger and fear. The idea that a powerful alien race could invade without warning, take away Earth's wildlife, and treat humanity like an afterthought was unbearable. But even in the face of such despair, some refused to give up. Among them was Commander Ava Ramirez. She was once a wildlife scientist who studied Earth's animals in their natural habitats, and now she was one of Earth's most respected military leaders. Standing on the bridge of the spaceship EHS Vengeance, she stared at the barren Earth below. The forests looked empty. The oceans looked lifeless. But Ava's mind raced with a fierce determination. She knew that humans were more than just the species they were told they were. Humans had survived through challenges far worse than this. The loss of wildlife was a wound, but it was not the end. In her heart, she knew the truth. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They had taken Earth's creatures, but they had ignored the true power behind the planet, the humans themselves. And humans, like the apex predators that once ruled the forests and seas, were hunters too. They were fighters. Across the globe, secret military projects began. In underground labs, scientists and engineers worked day and night, using what little DNA and data remained to bring back Earth's greatest hunters, wolves, tigers, falcons, now stronger and faster, enhanced with new technology and intelligence. These were not the animals the aliens had taken. These were Earth's true apex predators, ready to fight for their home. As the world waited for what would come next, the stars above held their breath. The galaxy had witnessed many conquests and losses, but it had never seen a species so underestimated, until now. Commander Ava Ramirez stood on the bridge of the EHS Vengeance, the flagship of Earth's last defense fleet. The ship hovered silently above the planet she loved, its powerful sensors scanning the empty forests and oceans below. The once vibrant world was now a hollow shell. There were no signs of life, only a cold, haunting stillness. Ava's heart ached as she watched the barren landscapes flash across the main screen. The creatures that had roamed freely for millions of years had vanished, taken by an unknown enemy far beyond the stars. But Ava was not the type to surrender to hopelessness. She had trained her whole life for moments like this, moments when courage and sharp thinking mattered more than anything else. Before she became a commander, Ava was a wildlife biologist studying the very animals that were now gone. She knew them well, their habits, their strength, their survival skills. That knowledge gave her a burning fire inside. If anyone could fight back, it was humans, with their endless will to survive and adapt. Beside her stood Captain Nuru, a tall, calm man from Tanzania, one of Earth's top pilots and strategists. He looked out at the dark, empty forests and shook his head slowly. "They think we are weak," he said quietly. "They think we are nothing but animals without value. But they forgot one thing. We hunt too." Ava nodded. "They took our wildlife, our greatest treasures. But they didn't take the spirit behind it. Humans have always been hunters, not just with weapons, but with minds and hearts. We find ways to fight back." Their fleet was small compared to the massive ships of the alien race called the Thalkor, who had stolen Earth's animals to fill their twisted space zoos. But the humans had something the Thalkor did not: determination and ingenuity. On Earth, secret labs and military bases buzzed with activity. Scientists worked around the clock, using the last bits of genetic data and DNA samples to recreate Earth's apex predators: wolves, tigers, falcons, and more. These were not just copies of animals from the past. The military enhanced them with advanced technology, improved strength, sharper senses, and even neural links that allowed humans to communicate with the animals in real time. These predators were not just animals. They were warriors. Ava had watched some of these creatures grow from tiny embryos into powerful hunters. She had trained with them, learning their movements and instincts. They respected her because she understood them, and she trusted them because they shared the same mission: to reclaim their home. The operation had a name: Predator Echo. It was Earth's bold answer to an impossible threat. The fleet prepared to launch. The EHS Vengeance and other ships were armed with cutting-edge weapons and packed with soldiers trained for close combat, stealth, and survival in alien environments. They were ready to go beyond Earth's orbit, to follow the stolen animals into the dark reaches of space. But the mission was not just about rescue. It was about sending a message. The Thalkor might have taken Earth's creatures, but they had also stolen something much more dangerous: the pride and spirit of humanity. Ava's voice was steady as she addressed her crew. "We are not just fighting for animals. We are fighting for our planet, our future, and our dignity. They think Earth is weak because we didn't have the same weapons or power, but what they don't understand is that humans never back down. We fight harder when the odds are against us, and we always find a way." The crew responded with cheers and determination. The ship slipped away from Earth's orbit under the cover of darkness. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, mysterious and cold. They carried with them the hope of a broken planet and the fury of a species pushed to the edge. As the fleet moved closer to the alien star system where the stolen wildlife was held captive, Ava reflected on what awaited them. The Thalkor were not just thieves. They were conquerors who saw themselves as above every other life form. Their technology was advanced, their fleets powerful, and their tactics brutal. But Ava knew something deeper. No matter how strong their ships or weapons, they had never faced the true apex predators of Earth: humans. The neural-linked wolves would hunt in packs like soldiers on the battlefield, their senses far beyond any alien creature. The enhanced tigers would strike with deadly precision. Falcons would scout and attack from above with unmatched speed. Every predator carried the spirit of Earth's wildness, a spirit that refused to be tamed or stolen. The fleet reached the edge of the alien system. Scanners showed huge structures, gigantic ships that served as prisons and zoos for the stolen animals. The Ark Vault, a massive fortress orbiting a gas giant, was the heart of the enemy's operation. Ava stood at the command console. "This is where the hunt begins," she said. Her hands tightened around the controls. In the cold silence of space, something fierce was awakening. The stolen wildlife might have been captured, but Earth's hunters were coming to take them back, and they would show the galaxy why humans are not just survivors, they are predators. The EHS Vengeance slipped through the darkness of space, drawing closer to the heart of the Thalkor stronghold. The stars twinkled cold and distant, but Ava Ramirez felt the heat of the coming battle burning deep inside her chest. All around her, the bridge buzzed with tension and focus. The crew worked silently but efficiently, their eyes fixed on the glowing images displayed on the holographic maps. Ahead of them floated the massive Ark Vault, a fortress that looked more like a terrifying beast than a spaceship. Its black metal hull was dotted with red lights that pulsed like angry eyes, and its size dwarfed even the largest human vessels. Ava studied the structure carefully. She had seen the images from their long-range scans, but nothing compared to seeing it up close. The Ark Vault was a prison and a zoo combined, designed to hold hundreds of Earth's wild animals now missing from their homes. The thought of the creatures trapped inside made her fists clench. But it was not just the animals that fueled her anger. It was the challenge of facing a foe who believed themselves unstoppable. The Thalkor were known across the galaxy as merciless collectors. They raided worlds, stripping them bare of valuable resources and creatures, leaving devastation behind. Their warships were fast and powerful, bristling with weapons that could tear through most defenses. Yet Ava's fleet was ready to fight, for everything Earth still had left: her honor, her people, and the wild heart of the planet. The first step was to breach the Ark Vault's outer defenses. The fortress was protected by a web of drones and automated turrets that could detect and destroy intruders within seconds. Ava's tactical officer, Lieutenant Chen, pointed out weak spots in the enemy's shield pattern. "We'll hit here," he said, tracing a path toward a less guarded side of the ship. "It's risky, but it's our best chance." As the fleet adjusted their course, the silence of space was shattered by alarms. The Thalkor had detected their approach and unleashed a swarm of fighter ships, sleek and deadly, their weapons glowing bright as they charged forward. The human ships sprang into action. The bridge exploded with controlled chaos. Pilots shouted orders, gunners locked onto targets, and engineers rerouted power to shields and weapons. Ava's heart pounded as she gave the command to engage. The battle was fierce and immediate. Human ships weaved through laser fire and missile blasts, returning fire with precision honed by years of training and desperation. Fighters danced in deadly patterns, locking into dogfights that tested skill and nerve. Explosions bloomed in the black void as ships were struck and destroyed. Amid the chaos, Ava's voice was steady, calm but firm. "Focus on protecting the Vengeance. We need to reach the Ark Vault intact." She watched as her crew worked seamlessly, their trust in her unspoken but strong. Then, something unexpected happened. From the shadows of the fight, a squadron of Earth's enhanced apex predators was deployed in small shuttle pods. Wolves with glowing eyes, tigers with cybernetic limbs, and falcons equipped with stealth tech dropped silently toward the Ark Vault's surface. Their mission was clear: infiltrate the prison, find the captured animals, and free them. Inside the shuttles, Ava's heart raced. The neural link allowed her to feel what the animals felt: the thrill of the hunt, the sharp awareness of danger, and the unbreakable bond between human and beast. These predators were not just soldiers. They were family, fighting alongside her in a way no alien could understand. The battle outside was brutal, but inside the Ark Vault, a different war was beginning. The predators moved quickly and silently, slipping past security systems and locked doors. They fought the alien guards with claws, teeth, and advanced weapons, each step closer to the cages where Earth's wildlife was held captive. Meanwhile, Ava and her crew kept up the pressure from space, using every tactic and weapon they had. The EHS Vengeance fired powerful bursts to disable enemy turrets and shields, creating openings for the shuttles below. Each moment was a test of will and skill, and every small victory brought them closer to their goal. But the Thalkor were not helpless. Their leader, a towering figure with a cold, cruel face named Vrax, watched the battle from his command deck. He sneered at the human resistance, confident his forces could crush the small fleet. "They are nothing but insects," he spat. "We will break their spirit and keep their beasts forever." Vrax underestimated the humans' resolve. As the wolves and tigers stormed deeper into the fortress, they triggered alarms and traps. The fight grew more desperate and violent. Many of the enhanced predators were injured or killed, but they fought on, driven by the hope of saving the creatures they loved. At a critical moment, Ava made a bold decision. Using the last of the Vengeance's energy, she ordered a powerful EMP blast aimed at the Arc Vault's central control system. The blast surged through the fortress like a storm, temporarily disabling shields and security systems. The shuttles used this moment to strike at the cages, freeing the animals. As the wild creatures emerged, some confused and scared, others roaring with newfound strength, the balance of power began to shift. The rescued apex predators joined the fight alongside the humans, their rage and skill turning the tide. The battle inside the Arc Vault was far from over, but humanity had taken its first great step into the lion's den and shown the galaxy that when Earth's hunters fight, they fight to win. The battle inside the Arc Vault was a storm of noise, movement, and fury. The once cold and silent fortress had become a chaotic battlefield, where humans and their animal allies fought side by side against the ruthless Thalkor guards. Commander Ava Ramirez felt the weight of every decision as she coordinated the strike from the command shuttle, her heart pounding in rhythm with the clash around her. The creatures they had come to rescue, wolves, tigers, falcons, and bears, were no longer prisoners but warriors, their eyes burning with the fierce fire of freedom and vengeance. Ava had never witnessed anything like this. The apex predators moved with a power and precision that no alien could match. The wolves darted through narrow corridors in tight packs, using their sharp senses to detect traps and ambushes. Their growls echoed, a warning to the enemy that the hunters had become the hunted. The tigers, enhanced with cybernetic limbs and strengthened muscles, tore through metal doors and alien troops alike. Their claws shredded armor and their roar shook the very walls. Falcons soared above the battlefield, scouting and launching swift strikes that disoriented the enemy, while bears charged through enemy ranks like living battering rams. The humans fought with equal determination. Soldiers wielded plasma rifles and energy blades, coordinating attacks and covering their animal allies. Medics dashed between combatants, tending to wounds with advanced nanotech that accelerated healing. Engineers hacked into the Arc Vaults, systems to disable turrets and open locked gates, clearing paths for the fighters. Each step forward was a test of endurance and courage, and many paid the price. Yet no one faltered. The mission was too important. Amid the chaos, Ava's neural link with the predators kept her connected to every moment of the fight. She could feel the heartbeat of a wolf pack as they stalked a squad of Thalkor, hear the thunder of tiger, pause on the metal floor, and sense the sharp focus of falcons watching from above. This bond was their secret weapon, a fusion of human will and animal instinct that the Thalkor could never predict. But the enemy was clever and relentless. Vrax, the cold Thalkor commander, unleashed his elite guards, hulking beasts, augmented with terrifying weapons and armor. These shock troops moved with brutal efficiency, forcing the humans and their predators into desperate fights. The fortress trembled as energy blasts tore through walls, and screams of pain mixed with growls and roars. In the midst of the fighting, Ava spotted the main control chamber, the heart of the Arc Vault's operations. If they could seize it, they could shut down the prison's security systems for good and cripple the enemy's ability to fight back. She sent a team of her best soldiers and the strongest predators to take the chamber, knowing it would be the toughest battle yet. The team fought through waves of guards and traps, their progress slow but steady. The tigers led the charge, breaking down barriers and clearing the path. Wolves flanked the enemies, cutting off escape routes. Falcons relayed information from above, directing the team through the maze-like corridors. The humans fired steadily, their discipline and training turning the tide in close quarters. When they finally reached the control chamber, they found Vrax waiting. The Thalcor commander's cold eyes burned with hatred and confidence. He wielded a massive energy sword that crackled with deadly power. His armor shimmered with defensive fields that absorbed many attacks. The fight that followed was fierce and brutal, blade clashing against rifle, roar meeting war cry. Ava and her team fought with everything they had, but Vrax was a fearsome opponent. The battle pushed them to their limits, testing their skill, teamwork, and resolve. Just when it seemed the Thalcor commander might prevail, the neural-linked predators joined the fight with renewed fury. A massive tiger leapt onto Vrax, claws digging into his armor while wolves howled in unison, disorienting him. Falcons dove and struck from above, disrupting his balance. Seizing the moment, Ava's lieutenant hacked into the control panel and unleashed a powerful virus that began to overload the Arc Vault's systems. Lights flickered, doors slammed shut, and weapons powered down. The fortress was dying. Vrax roared in rage but was forced to retreat as the fortress fell into chaos. The freed wildlife and human fighters pressed their advantage, pushing the enemy back. The sound of victory was loud and clear. The humans had turned the tide. Outside, the Arc Vault's shields collapsed and the EHS Vengeance and its fleet closed in. Their weapons unleashed a final barrage, breaking through the fortress's hull. Explosions rocked the ship, sending debris and sparks flying into space. Ava watched from the command deck as the Arc Vault began to break apart. The animals they had rescued were free, returning home to Earth's embrace. The cost had been high, but the mission was a success. The apex predators had struck back, and humanity had shown the galaxy what it truly meant to fight. The destruction of the Arc Vault sent shockwaves throughout the Thalcor Empire. Commander Ava Ramirez and her crew had struck a powerful blow, but it was only the beginning. The Thalcor were furious, and their anger was as fierce as their technology was advanced. Far from defeated, they were already gathering their forces, preparing to strike back with a vengeance that no one would forget. As the EHS Vengeance and its fleet regrouped near the edge of the human-controlled system, an ominous shadow loomed on the horizon, an armada far larger and deadlier than any Ava had faced before. The enemy's retaliation came swiftly and mercilessly. The sky darkened with warships shaped like deadly beasts, their sleek black hulls bristling with weapons and deadly sensors. These were the Thalcor's finest, their elite battle fleet, designed for destruction and intimidation. The ships moved with deadly precision, encircling the human forces and cutting off their retreat. Communication channels buzzed with urgent warnings, and the tension on the Vengeance was thick enough to slice. Ava's jaw clenched as she studied the enemy formation. They outnumbered her fleet 3-1, and their firepower was overwhelming. Still, she refused to back down. Earth had lost enough. The wild creatures stolen from their home were free now, but the war was far from over. Every human on the ship knew that if they lost here, all would be lost. Freedom, wildlife, and the future of their world. "Prepare for battle," Ava ordered, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. "We fight for Earth, for those who cannot fight for themselves." The crew responded with fierce determination. Pilots ran through pre-flight checks, gunners loaded weapons, and engineers boosted shield power. The bridge hummed with activity, a hive of focused energy. Outside the viewport, stars gleamed coldly as enemy ships closed in like a pack of wolves hunting their prey. The battle began with a roar. Energy beams sliced through space, missiles streaked like comets, and the Vengeance shuddered under heavy fire. Explosions bloomed across the fleet as ships took hits and pilots fought to keep control. The air was thick with tension and the raw sound of war. Ava guided her flagship through the chaos, weaving past blasts and debris. Her mind raced, calculating every move. The Thalcor fleet was relentless, coordinated, and brutal. Their ships attacked in waves, focusing fire on the human vessels one by one. Yet the humans fought back with a ferocity born of desperation and hope. Each strike was precise, each maneuver calculated to survive and strike back. Amid the battle, Ava's thoughts turned to the wildlife they had freed. The apex predators had returned to Earth, but this fight would decide if Earth remained safe. She could not let the Thalcor take that away. Her crew knew this too, fighting not just for their lives but for the spirit of their planet. Suddenly, a signal crackled through the comms. It was the wild creatures, now safely back on Earth, but connected through neural links. Their voices, full of pride and defiance, surged through the network, boosting the morale of the fleet. It was a reminder of why they fought. Humans and animals were linked by something stronger than technology or weapons: the will to survive and protect what was theirs. The tide of battle shifted when Ava spotted a weakness in the enemy's formation. The Thalcor flagship, a massive warship known as the Iron Maw, was exposing its rear section during a maneuver. It was a dangerous moment, but also an opportunity. Ava gave the order to concentrate all firepower on the Iron Maw. Human ships surged forward, lasers and missiles converging on the target. The Iron Maw fired back with deadly energy waves, but the human fleet held firm. Explosions ripped through its hull, and sections of the ship began to break apart. The Thalcor commander's voice came over the comms, furious and desperate, but his ship was faltering. In the heat of the battle, Ava's ship came under direct assault. Enemy fighters swarmed, breaking through the outer defenses and unleashing boarding parties. The Vengeance's crew fought hand-to-hand in narrow corridors, their energy blades cutting through alien armor. Ava led the defense, her determination shining bright as she pushed back the invaders. As the Iron Maw collapsed, in a spectacular blaze, the rest of the enemy fleet faltered. The Thalcor ships began to retreat, their formation breaking under the relentless pressure. Ava's fleet pursued them for a time, but she called them back, knowing this was only one battle in a longer war. The cost had been high. Many ships were lost, and lives were sacrificed, but humanity had survived the Thalcor's wrath. The victory was hard-won and marked by loss, but it sent a message across the stars. Earth and its people were not to be underestimated. As the fleet regrouped, Ava looked out into space. The war was far from over, but the spirit of humanity burned stronger than ever. They had faced the storm and stood unbroken, ready to defend their world and all they held dear. The Thalcor had struck back, and humanity was ready to strike harder. The war between humanity and the Thalcor reached a new level of intensity. The fierce battle from before had shown both sides the true cost of conflict. Though the humans had won a crucial fight, the Thalcor were far from defeated. They retreated to regroup, but their hatred only deepened, and their plans grew darker. Meanwhile, the humans prepared for what was to come, knowing that the enemy would not stop until they were crushed or destroyed. Commander Ava Ramirez remained steady, her determination lighting the way for her crew and allies. She understood that this war was not just about ships and weapons, but about the survival of their home, their wildlife, and their very way of life. Human scientists worked around the clock to improve their technology. The neural link that had bonded humans to the apex predators became more advanced, allowing even deeper cooperation between man and beast. The animals, wolves, tigers, bears, and falcons, were not only symbols of Earth's strength, but active partners in the fight. Together they trained, planned, and prepared for the next clash. Each creature had its own strengths. Wolves excelled at swift, silent strikes. Tigers combined raw power with sharp intelligence. Falcons were deadly scouts from above, and bears provided unstoppable force. These natural hunters, augmented with human technology and tactical guidance, became warriors unmatched in the galaxy. Ava's leadership inspired everyone aboard the EHS Vengeance. She was not just a commander, but a symbol of hope. Her courage and clarity kept the crew united even during the darkest moments. The bond between humans and their wildlife allies grew stronger, forging a team built on trust and fierce loyalty. As they trained for the inevitable confrontation, they also took time to remember what they were fighting for: Earth's freedom, the right to live without fear, and the creatures who had been stolen from their home. In space, the humans patrolled the edges of their territory carefully, They knew the Thalkor were watching, waiting for any chance to strike back with surprise and overwhelming force. Scouts detected strange new ships on the fringes, stealthy, fast, and deadly. The enemy had learned from their losses and adapted. They were sending in shadow fleets, small groups of advanced fighters and bombers designed to cripple defenses before the main fleet arrived. Ava ordered heightened alertness and swift responses to any incursions. The first of these new attacks came suddenly. A squadron of Thalkor stealth fighters slipped through human patrols and launched a surprise assault on a remote outpost. The station's shields flickered under the onslaught and explosions rocked the defenses, but the humans were ready. The neural-linked Falcons detected the incoming ships early and alerted the defenders. Fighter pilots scrambled, meeting the enemy in a fierce dogfight above the outpost. The battle was fast and brutal, with narrow escapes and daring maneuvers. Human technology, combined with the instincts of their Falcon allies, allowed them to shoot down many enemy craft, forcing the survivors to retreat. This battle was a clear warning. No place was truly safe, and the Thalkor would strike wherever they could cause pain. The humans redoubled their efforts, bolstering defenses and refining tactics. Ava worked closely with her officers and animal commanders, planning how to counter these guerrilla-style attacks. It was a different kind of warfare requiring patience, quick thinking, and relentless vigilance. Meanwhile, the Thalkor were not only attacking in space. They had infiltrators on Earth, attempting sabotage and gathering intelligence. Human counterintelligence teams, aided by tracking dogs and other animals, hunted down these spies with ruthless efficiency. Each capture was a small victory, but it showed the enemy's reach was vast. The battle for Earth's future was not limited to distant stars. It was happening on the ground, in forests, cities, and hidden corners of the world. Despite the danger, the humans found strength in their unity. Stories of bravery and sacrifice spread throughout the fleet and the planet. The apex predators became legends, their actions inspiring all who heard them. People on Earth volunteered for service. Scientists worked on new ways to enhance their natural allies, and soldiers trained harder than ever. Hope grew, even as the shadow of war stretched longer. In the quiet moments between battles, Ava thought about the cost of all this fighting. Friends lost, creatures saved but changed forever, the endless struggle. She wondered if peace was possible, but deep inside she knew the answer. As long as the Thalkor sought to steal and destroy, humanity and its apex predators would fight back with everything they had. They were Earth's defenders, united by a bond that could not be broken. The next battle would be the most dangerous yet. The Thalkor had learned, adapted, and prepared to unleash their full might. But so had humanity. The stage was set for a confrontation that would decide not only the fate of a planet, but the future of a species. And when that day came, Earth's apex predators and their human partners would be ready. The day the Thalkor launched their full-scale invasion arrived like a storm breaking over the horizon. For weeks, tension had built across the human fleet and Earth itself, a heavy silence filled with anticipation and dread. Commander Ava Ramirez stood on the bridge of the EHS Vengeance, watching the star-filled darkness ahead, knowing the enemy's forces were massing beyond their sight. The Thalkor had learned from previous fights. They would not settle for small strikes or guerrilla tactics this time. Their armada was vast, a terrifying swarm of warships designed to crush resistance and take back everything humanity had fought to protect. The sky before them was alive with the glowing lights of thousands of ships, a moving forest of metal and death. The invasion had begun. From the very first moment, chaos erupted. Enemy fighters screamed through space, tearing apart the silence with bursts of fire and explosions. The human fleet responded immediately, ships aligning into battle formations with practiced precision. Pilots shouted orders, engineers worked frantically to keep shields up, and the sound of alarms filled every corridor of every ship. But the Thalkor were overwhelming. Their numbers alone threatened to crush the human defenses, and their weapons cut through armor like a hot blade through cloth. The battle raged across multiple fronts, from the black void of space to the upper atmosphere of Earth, where Thalkor ground forces prepared to strike. It was a war unlike any before, fierce, unrelenting, and desperate. Ava took command with fierce determination, her calm voice cutting through the chaos. She coordinated the fleet, adapting quickly to enemy movements, ordering flanking maneuvers, and focusing fire on key targets. The human pilots fought with a ferocity that surprised even the Thalkor, using hit-and-run tactics and exploiting every weakness they could find. Yet the enemy's sheer size and firepower pushed the humans back ship by ship. The EHS Vengeance was targeted relentlessly, shaking under constant bombardment, but it held firm. Ava's crew fought like warriors, refusing to give an inch. Meanwhile, the apex predators prepared to play their part in the battle. Through the neural link, humans coordinated with wolves, tigers, bears, and falcons on Earth and in orbit. The animals moved with grace and deadly precision. Wolves scouted ahead, warning of hidden dangers. Tigers launched surprise strikes against enemy landing parties. Bears guarded key positions, their strength unmatched, and falcons soared high, striking enemy sensors and communications. This living army brought new tactics to the fight, striking fear into the Thalkor who had never faced such foes. Their combined strength was a force unlike any other. In the thick of battle, Ava received word that the Thalkor were deploying a massive weapon, something capable of wiping out entire fleets in a single strike. This weapon, hidden deep within their flagship, threatened to turn the tide of war instantly. Without hesitation, Ava decided the only chance was to lead a daring strike team directly into the heart of the enemy. She gathered her most skilled pilots and soldiers, preparing for a mission that could cost them everything. The odds were slim, but the risk was worth the chance to end the war. As the strike team raced toward the Thalkor flagship, the battle intensified around them. Human ships fought desperately to hold the enemy at bay, buying time for Ava and her team to reach their target. Explosions rocked the Vengeance, and loss weighed heavy on everyone's hearts. The line between victory and defeat was razor thin. Inside the Thalkor flagship, the atmosphere was cold and hostile. Ava and her team navigated narrow corridors, fighting off guards and automated defenses. Each step forward was a struggle, their path blocked by alien creatures and traps designed to kill. The tension was electric, every heartbeat loud in the silence between attacks. Finally, they reached the weapons control room, a massive chamber humming with dangerous energy. Ava's hands moved quickly, disabling systems and planting charges to destroy the weapon before it could be used. Back outside, the human fleet was faltering. Ships were falling, pilots were lost, and hope seemed to wane. Then, just as the weapon began to power up, the flagship shook violently. The charges detonated, sending a shockwave through the ship and disabling the terrible weapon. Ava and her team barely escaped as the flagship spiraled out of control. With their superweapon destroyed, the Thalkor forces began to lose their will to fight. The human fleet pushed forward with renewed strength, their unity and courage breaking the enemy's resolve. One by one, the Thalkor ships retreated or were destroyed. The battlefield grew silent, except for the distant sounds of celebration and mourning. The victory came at a great cost. Many lives were lost, and Earth's defenders bore scars both seen and unseen, but the message was clear. Humanity and their apex predators had faced the darkest storm and emerged victorious. The bond between man and beast, forged in battle and hardship, was stronger than ever. Earth was safe, at least for now. Ava stood once more on the bridge of the Vengeance, looking out at the stars. The war had tested everything they had, but it had also shown the strength of their spirit. They had fought not just for survival, but for the future of their world and all its creatures. And though the road ahead remained uncertain, one truth remained unshaken. Earth's defenders would never back down. The final chapter of the war unfolded under a heavy sky, thick with the smoke of battle and the silence of sacrifice. After the fierce victory that shattered the Thalkor's superweapon and forced their retreat, humanity stood at a crossroads. The cost had been terrible. Countless lives lost, ships destroyed, and scars etched into the hearts of everyone who fought. Commander Ava Ramirez felt the weight of those losses deeply. Every face she saw in the aftermath was a reminder of the price paid to protect Earth and its precious wildlife. Yet amidst the grief, a quiet strength grew. The bond between humans and their apex predators had become legendary, a symbol of resilience and hope that would carry them forward. The battlefield was littered with wreckage, but also with stories of courage and unity that would be told for generations. The survivors worked tirelessly to rebuild what had been broken. Earth's creatures, both ordinary and extraordinary, were cared for with reverence. Wolves, tigers, bears, and falcons, each had proven their place not just as animals, but as warriors and partners. Scientists and soldiers alike marveled at the neural link that had allowed such cooperation, and plans were made to deepen that connection even further, ensuring the bond could never be broken. The humans had learned that strength came not from technology alone, but from unity, between species, between hearts, and between worlds. Diplomatic channels opened cautiously as remnants of the Thalkor leadership reached out, seeking terms to end the war. Ava knew the road to peace would be long and fragile. Trust was a rare commodity after so much bloodshed, and many in humanity feared another attack. But Ava believed in the power of resolve and the possibility of change. She pushed for negotiations, rooted in respect and understanding, not domination. The galaxy watched closely, some races surprised by humanity's rise and others wary of their newfound power. Earth's story had become a beacon, a testament to what could be achieved when determination met nature's fiercest protectors. As the days passed, the damaged fleet was repaired and new ships launched, more advanced and designed to guard the peace they had fought so hard to secure. The apex predators remained by humanity's side, their instincts and strength woven into defense strategies and training. In time, the Thalkor warlords who once sought to plunder Earth's wildlife were held accountable, facing judgment for the destruction they caused. Their defeat marked not just a military victory, but a turning point in galactic relations. The war had tested humanity's limits and reshaped their destiny, proving that even when faced with overwhelming odds, Earth's defenders would rise and protect what mattered most. Commander Ava Ramirez stood once more on the bridge of the EHS Vengeance, watching the stars with a mix of sorrow and hope. The war was over, but its lessons were etched forever in their souls. She thought of the wolves that had scouted silently, the tigers that had struck with deadly grace, the bears that had shielded their allies, and the falcons that had soared above the chaos. They were more than animals. They were family. The neural link that connected them was a bond that transcended species, a symbol of humanity's true strength. The will to survive, adapt, and protect. The galaxy might have underestimated Earth, but now it understood. The apex predators had shown what it meant to be human, fierce, fearless, and unbreakable. As peace settled across the stars, humanity looked to the future with eyes wide open. They would remain vigilant, ready to defend their home and allies against any threat. But they would also build a future where technology and nature thrived side by side, where every creature had a place, and where unity was the greatest power of all. The story of the stolen wildlife and the fierce battle that followed would live on, inspiring generations to come. It was a tale of survival and sacrifice, but above all, a testament to the unyielding spirit of humanity and the apex predators who stood with them. In the end, the galaxy had witnessed something extraordinary. When Earth's wildlife was taken, it awakened the fiercest warriors the stars had ever known. Together, humans and their apex predators had turned the tide and shown the universe what it truly meant to fight for home.